This is the highest damage sword, and these are 5 other frames that want to be considered as good alternatives. Buckle up and let's find out how the Season 22 sword changes affected their total damage output and DPS, what the new best heavy light attack combo for each sword archetype is, whether or not Lucent Blade mods are useful for optimal DPS, and why doing more heavy attacks doesn't necessarily mean more damage. Along the Season of the Witch launch, Bungie made 2 groundbreaking changes on how swords perform. The first affects their guard energy recharge rate. Energy now recharges after a short delay when used. Both the delay before recharge and the recharge rate are governed by the guard charge rate stat. They hinted it would be overall faster, but to be honest, the results caught me by surprise. The second and equally important is that now you can use full power heavy attacks with any non-zero amount of sword energy rather than requiring full sword energy. So without further ado, it's time to find out what is the actual damage increase. Wordline Zero, while not meta, is still an interesting option. Its combo still has a huge downtime from the requirement to sprint for approximately 1 second in order to activate the Tesseract exotic trait, and unfortunately you need full sword guard energy for it to proc. From my testing, the base combo is 2 Tesseract heavy attacks followed by 4 light attacks. Lucent Blade mods reduce the light attacks you can land before you are able to reactivate Tesseract by 1 for each mod equipped. Overall, it got an increase of close to 80k total damage, which is decent considering the weapon we are talking about. Black Talon is one of the weapons that benefited the most from this update, because now blocking an attack will not consume energy, so you can activate reversal and still be able to use heavy attack twice without any problem. Still, the total damage output isn't great due to the heavy attack cost paired with the ammo capacity limitation. With full ammo, you can do a maximum of 8 double heavy attacks. Lucent Blade mods don't provide a meaningful benefit either, but will improve the optimal DPS depending on how many you have equipped. Lament is also an interesting story. Bungie said that Lament has been special cased and its delay and recharge rate are unaffected. I don't know if I misunderstood this statement, but my in-game tests prove otherwise. In either case, the weapon performs okay and should remain as is. To be more precise, the base combo got updated to that of the pre-patch with 3 Lucent Blades mod equipped, meaning a Banshee's Wail 2-1 combo followed by 2 light attacks until you have enough energy recharged to activate the next. With 1 Lucent Blades, the light attacks are reduced to 1. With 2, I find it more reliable to again add 1 light attack before each reactivation, and with 3 Lucent Blades, it is both possible and reliable to repeatedly activate Banshee's Wail for a 2 light 1 heavy attack combo, which is the most optimal for highest total damage and DPS. Compared to before patch, Lament got an increase of close to 100k damage. Heart Shadow also got treated well from the update, and its total damage increased by almost 200k due to the fact that you can now use all ammo with the majority of the attacks being heavy for maximum damage potential. The base combo is now a heavy followed by 4 light attacks. Each Lucent Blades mod added reduces the light attacks you need to land by 1 before you are able to use your heavy attack again. Keep in mind that Heart Shadow damage numbers include the 50% weakening debuff that the weapon applies. Moving on to the legendary options. First, let's refresh our memories on a very important aspect of the sword damage breakdown, and that is heavy attacks. Well, heavy attacks are designed to be a burst damage attack. Most sword frames heavy attacks will result in a reduction of the total damage when compared with equivalent worth of ammo light attacks. In other words, a Vortex frame heavy attack which costs 6 ammo will have less damage output compared to 6 light attacks, but of course higher DPS. The additional benefit of doing light attacks instead of heavy is that in 99.9% of the legendary swords we are using Relentless Strikes as a third column perk for free ammo generation. In the same example, doing 6 light attacks will also result in 2 ammo generation, which in turn will further increase our total damage output since now we have even more ammo to use. So the goal is to find that sweet spot of benefiting from the heavy attacks burst damage while maintaining maximum damage output potential. Adaptive frames got a little over 100k damage increase. The base combo is now 1 heavy and 5 light attacks, with Lucent Blades decreasing the light attacks to 4 with 1 mod and 3 with 2 and 3 mods equipped. Here we also start to notice that being able to use heavy attacks more often doesn't necessarily mean more total damage output. Bequest, as the most broken adaptive sword for absolutely no reason, has a base combo of 1 heavy 3 light which goes down to 2 lights with 1 Lucent Blades mod equipped. Having more than one mod equipped will provide no additional benefit since their charge rate stat will be already capped at 100, unless you are using for some inexplicable reason Heavy Guard. While both combos are doing approximately the same damage, the base combo does a little more because of performing 1 less heavy and 5 more light attacks, resulting in an increase of close to 200k compared to pre-season 22 damage. Vortex frames are in a rough spot. They have been for a while now, and it is mainly because they have the second lowest ammo capacity and the highest heavy attack cost. I believe that if Bungie would decrease the ammo cost per heavy attack to 5, we're going to have a Vortex frame meta again. So, my suggestion is to instead give a 50% to 20% increase to the heavy attack damage. This will still make Vortex frames do less damage compared to the competition, but at least now the difference will be minimized. In regards to their performance, the base combo is now a heavy with 4 light attacks, and Lucent Blades will decrease the light attack requirement by 1 with each mod equipped. Unfortunately, even though the combo has improved, the total damage is being reduced, so the most optimal combo remains the previous heavy 5 light combo, which fortunately can be achieved without any mods or even Heavy Guard if you feel like it. Aggressive frames remain one of the top total damage and DPS options out there by having an increase of around 100k damage. Since the patch went live, players figured out that you can perform 2 heavy attacks back to back if you jump before activating your first attack. This will result in the attack not consuming all sword energy, giving you the ability to do a follow-up heavy attack. Note, in order to perform a jump heavy attack, you need full sword energy, otherwise it will do less damage. While this sounds OP, in reality it isn't much. In my tests, it makes almost no difference whether you use 2 heavies or just 1. A more interesting part is that even if you only do light attacks, the result is also almost the same. The base combo is a heavy and 4 lights, with 1 Lucent Blades mod reduced to 3 lights, and with 2 and 3 mods reduced further to 2 lights. No matter whether you do a double or a single heavy, the combo will remain the same. Lightweight frame in my opinion is the best sword frame to exist, and its numbers kinda back this statement up with an increase of 120k damage. Regarding its combos, the base is a heavy and 5 light attacks, with 1 Lucent Blades decreasing the light attacks to 4, and with 2 and 3 mods equipped, further decreasing them to 3 light attacks. While lightweights will perform similarly in most combo cases, a heavy with 3 lights will have a significant increase in total damage, and on the other hand, if you only perform light attacks, you will end up with significantly less total damage. And finally, let's address the elephant in the room, which is none other than the caster frames. As we already know, Temptation's Hook is like the worst sword to exist in our collections, doing less damage even compared to a blue sword. So, we are only left with Solace Scarf. Its base combo can be a heavy with 4 lights. With 1 Lucent Blades, the light attacks will get reduced to 2, and with 2 and 3 mods, which will cap the recharge rate to 100, decrease to 1. Caster frames have the worst heavy attack damage to ammo cost ratio, which means that we want to do the bare minimum of heavy attacks. This results in the weapon performing better with a pre-patch combo of a heavy with 5 light attacks. Their damage performance is the second worst before Black Talon, which makes them a good option if you want to get carried or to actually throw during a damage phase. I'm kidding, just never use them. If I had to suggest a buff though for them to be somewhat viable, it would be either to reduce the heavy attack cost from 5 to 4, or if we want to move in the same direction as with Vortex frames, I would say give them a 25% to 30% damage increase on their heavy attacks. So what have we learned after all this? Worldline Zero is a sword that does damage. Black Talon is still the worst option. The Lament remains the most reliable and safe sword. Heart Shadow is awesome, and for some reason no one believes it is a viable damage option. Bequest is overall the best sword to exist, and in my opinion should be toned down to perform as any other adaptive frame. Adaptives are the most balanced based swords. Aggressive frames still remain a great option for high total damage if you play on a Titan. Lightweights continue their dominance silently, just like a hunter that tops the highest damage dealt. Vortex frames cry in the corner thinking of the time when they were the most dominant swords. And caster frames question their existence and why Bungie hates them so much. In regards to damage perks, the same as in my previous video applies. If you can have Surrounded active, it would be the best perk even if, for example, you lose the buff for 3 out of 10 combos with an adaptive frame. If it is more inconsistent than that, then Whirlwind Blade is the next best damage perk. Just keep in mind that for optimal damage, you need to stack it up after your initial opening heavy attack, for example, heavy, 8 lights, heavy, and from there on continue your combos as normal. So what's your go-to sword for damage, especially now that we have another raid boss Crota that we are slicing? Personally, I'm taking the more RPG approach of Goldtusk on my Hunter, and I'm being based on Titan and Warlock by using the adaptive Nastradin with Relentless Whirlwind, unless we have a well shortage, in which case the Lament is a better pick. In the video description you will find further technical details on how I perform these tests, plus my damage testing spreadsheet if you are interested. Make sure to also check out my rocket launcher and linear fusion rifle damage tests. As always, I hope you enjoyed this one and learned something new from it. Thank you very much for watching and consider subscribing for more. Tenzepos, signing out.